If you've ever stumbled through a social media site around Valentine's, you know women love to show off what their boyfriend or husband surprised them with. So this should be the one who wins Valentine's with 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, when you order early, you can get 18 pink and red enchanted roses for only $29.99. Valentine's Day is almost here, so don't put it off. Get 18 pink and red enchanted roses for only $29.99 from 1-800-Flowers. This gorgeous bouquet of radiant pink and red roses is the perfect Valentine's surprise she's guaranteed to love. Roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak and shipped overnight to ensure freshness. 18 red and pink enchanted roses for only $29.99 is a great reward for ordering early. This Valentine's, don't settle for anything less than 1-800-Flowers.com. To order 18 red and pink enchanted roses for only $29.99, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code WINGO. Again, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code WINGO. Order today and save at 1-800-Flowers.com, code WINGO.
Great news. There's a quick way you can save money. Switch to Geico. Geico could help you get great coverage at a great price. And it only takes 15 minutes to see if you could save 15% or more on car insurance. Go to geico.com today and see how much you could save.
Skolik and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey. The new show name didn't take off. It's in the Two Towers of Golic. I thought we had something magical there.
Two Towers?
Yeah, I mean, Two Towers of Golic. Like, you guys are big, tall people.
No, I think you can see us play at McLadden's later in West Hartford, but that's about the only place that name's going to stay.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Today actually is a day where I'm glad we're all friends because I think after the show, we should go to Philly, and then I should get to be on your shoulders because then I would actually finally be able to see over everybody else for the Eagles parade.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. I'm going to watch that one on TV. I'm not a big crowd person, a large crowd person, but boy, would they say 2 million people for today, and they did the right thing in Philadelphia. They closed the schools. Here in Connecticut, if they say there's a possibility of a snowflake falling, they will close the entire state down of schools. In Philly, it takes a parade for a Super Bowl championship to close the schools.
Yeah, crowds are always a dicey situation. The last time I was in a crowd this large, I ended up just peeing my pants and having to go about my day with pee pants. So,
how did we?
Oh, we already did this story.
We're less than a minute and a half in, and we already have.
Was it the concert?
Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've been to one or two concerts, and you get in that big crowd setting. I feel like this is a situation today where you've got to go in committing to that sort of idea, like bring a pair of pants that you're comfortable with. Listen, I don't feel like this is far-fetched for a city where we just watched a guy eat poop. I don't feel like this is far-fetched at all. Bathroom humor in Philadelphia right now, I'm sorry, you invited that wolf into your den.
Yeah, listen, I understand that. So, again, Jason Fitz, for those that may not know, played fiddle in the band Perry for 6 years?
Yeah.
6 years, toured with them, obviously. So where Mike was in the crowd peeing his pants, you were on stage looking out at people. So I would imagine you were looking out at people, and some of the people you were looking out at were just in a bad way.
Oh, yeah, and the worst are like country festivals where, it's been like they're the best crowds to play in front of, but like in the middle of Wisconsin or whatever, you'll have one of those 3-day camp out festivals.
Yeah.
And then like you're on the third or fourth day, you're on the last day of it, and you see everybody out there making out, and they're all drunk, and you're looking at them thinking, none of you people have showered, okay?
Yeah.
And you've been using public restrooms for days. This is not. But I will tell you, you should check out the Slash autobiography sometime, going back to my 80s roots.
Right.
Slash reveals in his autobiography that, he's famous for the leather pants, and that's because he was so trashed on stage all the time that he kept peeing himself, and he realized that you could see that in like regular pants.
Right.
So he switched to leather pants because you can't see that in leather pants. But the curious part of it is later in the same book, he reveals that, they would go months on tour and not do laundry. So everything smelled bad.
Okay. That's
so I'm thinking,
tough call.
I'm thinking every day Slash put on the same, pee-pee filled.
I hope he
leather pants.
Rinsed him or something.
I mean, that's the whole point with leather, is it's not really going to hold in there all that well. It might be a little damp, but you could just get that from sweat. Like if you play the mental game with yourself, maybe they're just sweaty trousers.
And you just peed your pants and just lived. You didn't have any kind of adult diaper on or anything? You just peed your pants?
No, just went after it. Actually went out later that night in the same pair of pee pants.
That's good stuff.
They were cargo shorts. It wasn't a great period of my life.
You wonder if anybody at the parade is going to do that. So
Wait. They were cargo shorts?
Yeah, they were cargo shorts.
So that really got weighed down.
You know what? Honestly, it was a good thing I peed them because it was an excuse to throw them away, which I needed to do as an adult at that point.
So they were disposable cargo pants.
Well, they should have been. They should have been cargo pants that didn't exist at that point in my life, but they were there, and so I had to pee.
So I don't think there's any doubt that there are going to be, of the 2 million people, some that may pee themselves. One of them may be our own Cliff, our board op, who plays all our music and gets rave reviews. He is a Philly guy. He drove to Philadelphia yesterday. He is going to be at the parade. Bubba in today on the board, and we're going to do a little love it or shove it with Bubba in a bit. But Cliff, we're going to check in with him a couple of times, and I guess we can find out if he pees himself.
I think Cliff's going to be better than that.
You think so?
I'm not sure we will be, though. It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We don't get a lot of breaks here, so I can't promise anything. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our phone guests are on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. I guess we should get to some...
Might as well.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, why not?
It's time for Off the Top.
Whether you like it or not, it's just beginning.
With Golic and Wingo.
I love that little theme song.
I know you do. You dance to it all the time.
All right, so we'll start here. Seconds after blocking a potential game winner from Jimmy Butler, LeBron James recorded his 5th career game-winning buzzer beater to lift the Cavs to an overtime win over Minnesota.
They beat a good team in Minnesota, a team that's horrible on the road, by the way, but a team that's sitting 4th in the Western Conference. They did it at home. They broke an 8-game losing streak on national TV. LeBron hit his 5th game winner as well. They're back. The Cleveland Cavaliers are just fine. No more issues. They don't need to trade for anybody. They'll turn it on whenever they need to, Mike, and they're back, and they're better than ever. That's my growing up in Cleveland fandom right there, praying that something like that happens. But it was an entertaining game to watch. Nice ending last night for the Cavalier win, but they're back. They're going to be in the finals again.
Back and better than ever. I don't know where I've heard that before.
Yeah, we heard that a couple times.
Yeah, but for them last night, I think it's encouraging considering the situation because it was ripe for another letdown. They were on the second night of a back-to-back. They had just flown from Florida back home to Cleveland. Dwayne Wade got arrested for that reason alone. So coming into it, you were loaded up with excuses that would have kept this thing careening off a cliff into the trade deadline this afternoon. And instead, all this really showed me this team does have some semblance of pride. LeBron James specifically went out there and heard all of the criticisms of his game, of his effort level, and his ability to lead this team, and reminded everyone what he can do even in his 15th season when he feels like it.
You're turned around, right, Jason? You completely buy in now.
Come on. Let's wait and see if LeBron does it for a couple of weeks before we suddenly just decide.
He only has to do it every now and then in the playoffs.
And then are we just going to ignore the fact that yet again the Cavs gave up basically 4 million points to a okay team? I mean, there is no defense in Cleveland. None. Like, no defense at all.
There wasn't last year and they played in the finals.
Well, that's, if you're happy just getting there, Mike, all right?
The only what let me ask you this. If you're going to win an NBA championship, what do you have to do? You have to get to the championship, right?
You got to beat Golden State.
Right,
I'm trying to figure out a way
but
to twist
you have
this.
to get to the championship, and that's all we're talking about here, because I don't think they're beating Golden State. But the only way you can get a shot to beat them and win the title is to get there.
And based on, listen, life's all about managing expectations, right? The expectation for the Cavaliers and LeBron James used to be win the NBA title. This year, the expectations have been grossly lowered at this point in time in the season. So if from where we were this week, they get back to the NBA Finals, that's basically like winning a championship. We'll have to consult Stu Gotz's record book on this one.
That is fair. If they get to the NBA championship at this point, that will be the entire story, was how we gave up on them too soon. By the way, to get there, we'll see if they make any changes today with the trade deadline. Make the switch, brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today.
Off the top.
All eyes will be on Cleveland because of the trade deadline at 3 p.m. Eastern. History says they're going to make a move.
Yeah, well, you go back to the years that LeBron has been back. You go back to 2014-15. They traded on January 6th for J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, and Timothy Mozgov. He's obviously not there anymore. The other two are. Then the 2015-16 season on February 18th, they acquired Channing Frye. And then last year, 2016-17 season, on January 7th, they acquired Kyle Korver. So where do they go this time around? You hear the George Hills of the world, the DeAndre Jordans of the world, are one of those guys going to come in? Are they going to make a move for anybody at this choice? They've done it in the past. We'll see what they do today. I don't know if it's going to be any kind of a landscape-changing thing at all. I think basically the core and the guys that are going to do it are on the team right now. I don't think they can bring in any ringer at this point.
No, I don't think so. And if you look really, it's almost descending order in that list you read of importance they ended up playing in this. Kyle Korver was a guy we thought would play a much larger role when they brought him over last season. I don't think that ever materialized in the way that we all intended for that. But all of those players involved in that, with the exception of, I believe, Mozgov, still on the roster, still contributing in major ways, at least some of the main names mentioned there. So what do they do today? The biggest names left that you mentioned don't really inspire a lot of confidence. No. This really seems to be about breaking up a locker room that's just poisonous at this point.
I think the lack of names that inspire confidence is really the theme as we get into the trade deadline today, and that's rare. Usually we're coming into the trade deadline saying, hey, what's going to happen here? Can a move be made? And it feels like this year there's not a move to be made, which means, in my mind, we're sort of just saying, hey, this is the year of the Warriors again, and that's what you got. I mean, at some point you have to look at your scenario and say, if there's nothing out there, then don't leverage the future. Start building for later to figure out how to get there.
Well, that's sort of what the Lakers decided, right? A lot of their reshuffling was centered around that very same idea, because this offseason, we can only expect so much from the NBA. This offseason was so unbelievable in the way that they mixed up the bag of superstar talent that one of those teams, they're all whole right now, and most of them are playing pretty well when you look at Oklahoma City and Houston and the players that are going to be involved in probably challenging Golden State. They're all where they need to be for the most part.
It's a little reminiscent in that sense of National Signing Day, which I know we'll get to.
Right.
But we had such a great summer of free agency move that there's just not a lot of players left to go around.
Off the top.
4 days after beating then number 4 Duke, St. John's upsets top-ranked Villanova Wednesday for its first win in the Big East this season.
They were 0-11. 0-11 in Big East play, and they knock off the number 1 team in the country and Villanova and get their first conference championship or win, as you mentioned, after beating then number 4 Duke and now Villanova. Pretty impressive. It's St. John's first win against the number 1 team since January 26th, 1985 at Georgetown. And guess who had 20 points in that one? Their current coach, Chris Mullin, had 20 points in that game. So pretty impressive. They went in with a 2.4% chance to beat Villanova, according to our basketball power index, or the basketball nerds.
Yeah, the nerds got this one wrong. Yep. And for this, you figured that Philly, you'd already cashed in most of your good luck. There are other years where this would have been the big story. We know Villanova's been one of the better programs around the NCAA for the last few years. And listen, Philly hasn't always had the most to celebrate. So now this is the perfect place to sweep this under the rug right now. You got the parade going on today. You're still basking off the glow of the Super Bowl victory right now. If you're Villanova, you get this out of the way. I don't even know if anyone in the city will notice right now, and then you can get back to winning.
You know what? I think this is just a little blip, and what we're going to see is suddenly Philadelphia, as the city gets hot, and they just win everything. Like that's it.
Well, listen, after who dropped the bomb on us yesterday? That thinks that LeBron will end up in Philadelphia. Bobby Marks. Yeah, I mean, could you imagine that going on? But, yeah, it's interesting about Villanova. It just kind of goes by the wayside.
It's like the Friday news dump.
With this big day in college basketball as far as upsets, you had number 1 Villanova losing, number 3 Purdue lost to Ohio State. Congrats to Ohio State on that one. And number 8 Auburn was beaten by Texas A&M. So 3 top 10 upsets last night.
Big night. And it plays forward. If I can hit this button, I'm
off the top.
It's just not working for me.
You were gold yesterday. Now all of a sudden you got one day, you got a little cocky, and here you go.
A little too confident with the button.
Focused on his nicknames and
it all goes downhill from there. Mm-hmm. I can't press the button anymore. Number 9 Duke and number 21 North Carolina meet at 8 Eastern on ESPN for the first time this season.
Duke has won 13 of the last 18 meetings in this against North Carolina. This is the amazing one, though. We brought this up yesterday. We had Roy Williams on, the head coach of North Carolina, that Duke and North Carolina head-to-head last 100 meetings. It's 50-50, and only 2 points separate them. Duke has scored 2 more points, 7,767 to 7,765. That is just amazing. It is really unreal. It's the 80th time Duke and North Carolina face off with both ranked in the AP poll. Listen, when we start talking about greatest rivalries, and every now and then it's a great radio thing to do. What are the best rivalries in sports, whether it's pro, whether it's college? And Duke, North Carolina is always right near the top all the time when you're talking about that.
And it's interesting now, coming off of last night, even what we saw in Cleveland, where Karl Anthony Towns was 6 of 6 from beyond the arc last night, had over 30 points there. You've got two big men in this game in Marvin Bagley and Luke May that are the only two major conference players with multiple 30-point and 10-rebound games this season. So two guys getting it done in a big way. Purdue's got great bigs as well. So this season in college basketball especially, we're seeing those guys have an effect and really guys in the program translating it as well.
Bagley's one of those superstars that we're all going to be seeing in the NBA in 2 seconds, so it's interesting to watch. This is also, it feels like this is the annual, hey, the Super Bowl's done, let's start paying attention to college basketball moment for a lot of the country. I mean, it feels like this week and this rivalry particularly
without a doubt.
Kicks it off.
And look what we get. Number one loser, we get this matchup 11 about 2 hours and 15 minutes, 8:30 Eastern. We'll have Jay Billis on, talk about this game, but he's got to be happy his alma mater and Duke, as we talked about with Roy Williams, got the 1, 2, 3, and 10 recruits for next year's team. Just incredible how they're stacking up with some of these one and done, something you hadn't seen from Duke in a long time. All of a sudden they're getting it, certainly with Marvin Bagley the third and what he's doing. But so Jay, you're right. We start to really motor in college basketball now.
And can't have a college conversation without talking about college football.
Off the top.
Georgia solidifies its hold on the nation's top recruiting class Wednesday. They signed 4 more ESPN 300 recruits.
Yeah, they end up signing 13 of the top 100 recruits. 2018 marks the first time Georgia had finished with ESPN's top class in the SEC, let alone the country. They got the number one. That's the interesting thing again to me. They got the number one prospect overall in Justin Fields, who's a quarterback. And Jake Fromm, the true freshman last year, took over for Eason, who ended up transferring. So you got the number one recruit's a quarterback and goes to a school where a freshman just led them to the national championship game. So that's going to be very, very interesting there. Alabama ends up 6th, but that we know they're never hurting. And I think the fun, I don't know if it was fun, but the video shown over and over again yesterday, Mike, it was Jacob Copeland was the number 5 wide receiver, and it was one of those classic sitting at the table and making his decision, and he had a Tennessee hat, an Alabama hat, and a Florida hat. And basically everybody in his entourage, including his mom sitting right next to him, his mother had an Alabama sweatshirt on and a Tennessee hat on. Everybody was wearing one of those colors. And what did he do? He chose Florida. And what happened then?
Mom walked out.
Mom walked out. She literally got up from the table and walked off screen, walked out. This was on TV. They were doing this live on TV. Now, later she came back and they hugged it out. Everything all was good. But she sat there with the Alabama sweatshirt, the Tennessee cap. He picked Florida, and she bolted.
Yeah, that hug I questioned at the end. I really think that was just her putting the thinly veiled threat in his ear. You know exactly what's going down when we get home. Yeah. You embarrass me like this
in front
of company on TV.
That was unbelievable.
I mean, Mike, your mom's a saint, basically one of the nicest people ever. If you had done a big press conference and let's say pick USC or Boston College, what would your mom have done?
It's not even so much that the choice, but clearly they didn't communicate this beforehand. There was a lack of communication, and the last thing on earth that I would dream of doing would be surprising my mom with some decision like that the day of without giving her any sort of knowledge beforehand. That's why everyone's saying to the mom, be respectful. This is your son's decision, all that. No. Anyone who's got a mom knows that ain't your decision. You are making that decision with everyone else's thoughts and feelings in mind, specifically moms, and if it is your decision, you better damn well make sure you let mom in on it.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I mean, here's my conspiracy theory, though. Maybe it was all staged. It was a trending topic on Twitter, and we're all talking about it.
You think that was it to get a little more pub for them?
Maybe mom and maybe they were in on it. They're like, hey, this could be kind of fun. I'm just saying that they make up at the end.
At least we know who wears the tinfoil cap out of this group, though.
No, that is true. You know what? Props are all their acting chops. I saw very real tears there. Now we're apparently just imagining.
The look she gave him, what you want to talk about a death stare as she walked off camera was amazing.
Oh, we'll get into some acting chops as the morning goes on, but that's it for Off the Top. Golic and Wingo presented by 1-800-Flowers. This year, be the one who wins Valentine's with 1-800-Flowers.com. Right now, you can get 18 pink and red enchanted roses Only $29.99 to order. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. And I'm not even ashamed to admit it. I sent my wife flowers from 1-800-Flowers. She got them yesterday. I am a hero today.
You should. Absolutely, it's the right thing to do.
That seems to be the real key, right? Is send them before Valentine's Day.
You get ahead of it, Mike.
Listen, I've met your wife, Sonny. You need to do everything you can to hang on to her.
Yeah, she's in Nashville. I'm in Connecticut. I'm just trying to make sure that she remembers.
There you go.
And you brought her up to Connecticut this weekend, so she saw what may be in store in the future. So you've really got to butter her up.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot.
Send flowers every day.
Yeah, I'm not having to redo the whole budget around flowers. So the Cavs get a win last night on national TV. Their first in 9 tries. So it raises the question, where do we go from here? Because trade deadline is here, and we expect something.
As we talked about, they've made a trade basically every year. LeBron has been back, but we don't see any. We'll have Adrian Wojnarowski in a little less than an hour to talk about the trade deadline coming up and what he expects. So, and we know his word is usually gospel around here. So I look forward to that. But I don't see any. But Cleveland always just was looking for pieces. So whatever piece they may be looking for, I have no idea if it's going to help this year. I was one of the last ones kind of white-knuckling, hanging on to the Cavaliers to be able to flip the switch, and I think mainly that was because I was born and raised in Cleveland. It just doesn't look good this year. But then every now and then you see them turn it on, even though they'll give up points. At times they can score points. That's been the thing to me because, Mike, they were bad last year on defense. They still made it to the finals because they were pretty good on offense. Well, they've been bad on offense to boot. So that's like you're a little bit weak and you make up for it by being slow. I mean, it's just not going to work. You have to have a flip side that's pretty good to this, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I said about my basically my football career. You know, even though playing 9 years an average player, I was kind of slow, but I made up for it by being weak.
Yeah. I'm not tall, but I sure am fat. So don't worry. I've got it all counted for in that area. But for me, the trade deadline to them is going to be a decision of whether they want to break up what seems to be a bad situation for them in the building. So I think it's less about what they bring in because they don't have a lot of space to take on a contract from the outside.
Who they get rid of?
It's who they get rid of. And is there any doubt it should be Isaiah Thomas at this point? That's been a failed experiment. Failed experiment in almost every capacity.
Enough time even coming off. I mean, the one thing I'll say, while he's opened his mouth more than I think he should have, and I know you felt the same way, it doesn't feel like it's clicking, but he was out 7 months with a pretty major surgery. So is that enough time in your mind to say this isn't working?
I think so. I just don't know if his ceiling offers you enough. Do you expect him to really fully come into that role that Kyrie Irving was in last year where he is a legitimate number 2 to LeBron James as they go down the stretch of the season? I don't know if I ever saw that ceiling for him here in an offense that's not built to let him operate as the lead dog the way it was in Boston for so long.
I don't think it's just about Isaiah on the court. I think some guys have a hard time quickly assimilating into new groups, and it feels like for whatever reason there's a disconnect between Isaiah and the guys. There are disconnects in this locker room. So to your point, Mike, if they make a move, I think it's to try and fix whatever the locker room environment is. Any of that, though, is not a statement about this season. It's a statement about next season and moving forward for the Cavs. I don't think we can see a move that suddenly makes the Cavs a championship team.
I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got one gig. I suck up dirt, so pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too, and an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard.
Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
It's Golic and Wing on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey.
Yes, you are. Tell me that LeBron shot isn't Christian Laettner's shot. Outside of where the ball was inbounded, we know it wasn't full court. This one was just a little longer than half court. Same shot, though, right?
It's similar, but LeBron makes it look easier.
Well, I mean, they both went in.
Yeah,
I mean,
it happens a little faster. It's a little more athletic.
Yeah, but jeez, listen to you guys. It went in, man. I mean, wasn't it the same kind of shot, that fadeaway just above the free throw line?
Mike, I revealed to you yesterday in a tender moment of open me and you moment that the only VCR tape I have in my life is UNLV beating Duke 103-73 in the national championship game, which also means the next year I watched Duke destroy my heart and rip away the undefeated season that UNLV was rightfully theirs. I'm not going to credit Christian Laettner with anything.
Okay.
It looked much better by LeBron.
All right. I see where this is born from. Okay, I got you.
Hashtag bias.
I would like to see a side-by-side of those. I feel it feels weird that SportsCenter hasn't already done that.
I know. Well, they'll do it now. We'll give them the idea,
I was
right?
going to say, I'm not paid to produce SportsCenter, but you're welcome.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, speaking of things that look similar, we've seen Jim Brown step into the acting realm after his NFL career. Yep. And now we suddenly find out that there's at least the possibility Gronk wants to take his talents to Hollywood and be an actor. Are you guys all in on Gronk, the actor?
First off, the reason he may be done. Now, I imagine it's a little bit of both. He says he's spoken to Sly and to The Rock, and who think he can make millions. Got to be wary of that a little bit, of just hearing that, I think. But his reasoning for the injuries that he's had, you can certainly understand that. The guy, he's had a nice career, but it's not like he's been double-digit years and this long career, and already we're talking concussions, elbow, knee, 3 back surgeries. And when this guy catches a ball, that guys are either going to hit him high and try and take him out or take out his knees. And I don't mean in a dirty way. I just mean because he's so big, that's the way you have to try and chop him down. So it's another future injury waiting to happen in my eyes. So that part of it I can really see with him. I heard you talking about it before, this morning and before. And for those that don't know, he hasn't spent, from what the reports, hasn't spent a dime of his contract money, has used all endorsement money. So that money, that from that side of it, that's not really an issue. And if he's really concerned about those injuries, time to walk away. And if he could walk away into that world, I have no idea how successful he could be, but we're going to have some fun trying to find out. But I think he would be walking away more because of the injury situation than of the potential in movies.
You don't think Gronk in his head could have heard something like that in an off-season conversation? Because he was on set. He was out there doing it in the Entourage movie a couple of years ago. So he was already operating in that circle. That was around the same time Ronda Rousey was beginning her transition into silver screen
She was in
fame.
that movie too.
And so maybe she was in his ear, and all of a sudden you just get that little bit of bug where you start to think, you know what, I can do this, and then all the injuries start to hurt a little bit more, and then you realize you're going into every game basically wearing a shield on your elbow instead of getting to play free and uninhibited like you once did.
How confident are you guys in Gronk? And as an actor, our confidence theme brought to you by National Mortgage Lender. Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Look, just because you have one dream job doesn't mean you just suddenly get to pluck another dream job out of the air and just try something new.
It's preposterous.
This does not make any sense. He's already had his dream job. He cannot possibly get two. I'm saying all of this obviously.
Wow, out of sarcasm again, Jason Fitz, fiddle player, band Perry for years, and now transitioning over into sports talk.
Well, look, ultimately, I could see Gronk have, if there's anything we all see in Gronk, it's confidence, right? There's just a piece to certain guys that feel like they can do anything.
And people love him. Yeah. People love him. So how did you word this? We want to put this at Golic and Wingo. I know we're going to steal again from you from this morning.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Yeah. I just asked, because right now I'm not trying to cast Gronk in anything new. I don't have any scripts in front of me right now, but do you think... Right now.
Tomorrow he might have a Hollywood
Exactly. Gronk, call me. We can make this work. My percentage is very small. Very, very small. You can pay me in beer and good times, and we'll be straight.
Yeah, that'll work.
So I asked, what movie would be made better if you put Gronk in it? So you go back in it.
All of them.
I can say there are very few, and there are the obvious ones in here. Like basically any movie that Sean William Scott was in, you could dub Gronk in, and he would probably put his way in there nicely. You think any like Matthew McConaughey?
Now, see, I think you need to go with something where there's not a lot of dialogue, because I'm not sure that Gronk, I just don't know that that's really going to be his strength.
Any party movie?
Well, yeah, we got a lot of old school references in there. Yeah. My favorite one fits. This is by far my favorite submission this morning, and it fits right into what you were looking for there. You take Gronk and you make him Wilson the volleyball in Castaway. I would pay untold sums of money to watch Tom Hanks interact with Gronk trying to play a volleyball. I think he's perfectly qualified to play a volleyball.
Are you saying all of a sudden the volleyball has a voice?
No, I'm saying
Gronk?
He's a volleyball.
You're saying
he is playing a volleyball.
Is he in a big volleyball suit for
this?
He
can be whatever you want, but he's a volleyball.
I like. There's two movies that I think that he could have been perfect in. One, as Stu in The Hangover, like the sort of nerdy guy in The Hangover.
Right.
It would have worked for me really well there. No offense, Ed Helms. Or I say just give him the big part and let him be John McClane in Die Hard. I mean, John McClane in Die Hard from Gronk would work so well.
See, that's the thing. Can you picture Gronk as the lead? I mean, so if you want to put him in a movie, put him in as a lead somewhere. I mean, are we going that far?
Well, see, I thought he would be perfect as one of the ancillary guys, like let's say in Armageddon.
Yeah, with Harry Stamper up there drilling the hole.
I said he could have been right there with Rockhound and the rest of those guys as part of the group, or a great ancillary soldier. Think one of the other side guys in Saving Private Ryan or a movie like that.
Right. So he'd be better in an ensemble, do we think?
He'd be better in an ensemble, although, listen, there's some chances. I mean, you could have him be like a Val Kilmer in Top Gun.
Could he not be Batman, or could he not be the Terminator? I mean, none of those are really famous for having fantastic acting.
When you talk of when and I heard you again say this morning when we talk about athletes that went into acting, I mean Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, what he turned himself into, from greatest bodybuilder of all time to the governor of California to the Terminator, I mean, is awesome.
There's no limits. That's why I look at all those guys and I say, why not? Why not Gronk in this role? With a little grooming, I think we can get him to that place. Now, the question is, Gronk is a well-built guy. He's a professional athlete. He's got the body of the greatest tight end in the history of football. Is he ready to go steroid Gronk to be an action star? Because we know there's a step up for a lot of these guys that involves the needle. Is Gronk willing to take that plunge in order to become maybe son of Conan in a Conan the Barbarian remake?
Right. I like that.
Get him in a little Mad Max action. Maybe he would fit right in.
What about like the bad guy in Fast and the Furious 87 or whichever one's
whatever number they're on right now.
I think that could work
too. It's really good. So we have it up at Golikawingo. Gronk is reportedly considering leaving football for a career in acting. What movie do you think Gronk would have made better? And you can also give your thought to, would he be a good lead? What would he be a good lead in? Because we set it up with the Jim Brown. I still love Jim Brown in Dirty Dozen. Jim Brown. I mean, I'm way older than you guys to know when some of the movies that he was in, but Jim Brown in Dirty Dozen, that was one of the great movies as well.
So take that one and spit it to Rob Gronkowski in Dirty Dancing.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, see.
Would he take Eli's spot?
He could do the move.
I don't think he can dance near. I mean, let's just take a second and respect Patrick Swayze's dance in Dirty Dancing was spectacular.
Just know that at Golikawingo, where we have the question, we have a GIF up there, and he's dancing.
Oh,
he's dancing. So
this is I'm going to lose this battle.
What role can Gronk play? I love this, and more power to him, man. If he wants to go, would that shock any? I mean, because I think already, where would you rate greatest tight end ever play in this game?
He's the best tight end in the history of football.
And he won't have the longevity of some of the greats who have played, so that may stop people from saying he's the greatest of all time because he didn't do that for long enough as far as that ranking. But man, I put him up there, and I sit there and I want a tight end in a game. It's Gronk.
I still love the thought of going to Sly Stallone and being like, you think I can make it in acting? Because he's
Gronk.
Oh my God. 50 Shades Gronker. That's what just happened thanks to Twitter.
50 Shades Gronk. No, that was actually my idea. I'm going to take credit for that one because a lot of stuff coming in. Again, we're asking for your input on if Gronk does retire and go into acting, what movie could he have made better? And we're getting a lot of ensemble kind of party type movies. And that's what I said, 50 Shades Grey, and you went the 50 Shades Gronker.
Yeah, 50 Shades of Gronk. The problem is you're going to have to explain some things to Gronk because he's a guy that's going to go in and say, I'm going to do all my own stunts. I'm going to do all my own love scenes. The problem is you're going to have to explain to them Hollywood love scenes like it's acting, Gronk. You don't get to go in there and really actually do the real thing.
Yeah. That'll be, he'll be like, wait, what? What do you mean?
What do you mean? But how do they do all that?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Can we just start at Super Bowl parties where you have the little board and numbers and predictions and everything? We need one of these for Golic Jr. because so far today we have Hollywood love scenes and issues peeing your pants like that.
There are no issues.
Okay, there are
very effective.
It's Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey, stuck between two towers of Golic here. There are issues in Indianapolis. The Colts GM Chris Ballard took to the mic yesterday to explain away the Josh McDaniels situation, but then he said this:
I don't deal with New England. I have no idea what they're thinking.
In a sense, do you feel betrayed?
No. People make decisions. People tell people no every day. They tell people no every day. And that's his prerogative, and that's his choice. And he chose the path. He chose not to be an Indianapolis Colt. That's okay. We'll move forward. The rivalry is back on.
So,
oh boy,
Mike, as married men here, we're gonna let Golic Jr. sit off to the wayside.
I gotta stop laughing.
You know how sometimes you ask your wife what's wrong, and she's like, "Nothing.
Yeah,
this is fine." That's what Chris Ballard is doing here. He's completely like, you know what? I'm not worried about New England. Everything's fine.
That line coming at the end felt so out of place. Like, why did he say it? I mean, what was he? And there's no rivalry when someone's a hammer and someone's a nail. I mean, and that's what we're talking about here, right? I mean, has this been since 2010? We had the graphic up 7-0 for the Patriots. They're averaging 40 points a game, and the point differential is plus 19. I mean, again, this is a hammer and nail. You know, unless you want to be the nail and said, oh, yeah, we got a rivalry with that big hammer coming down and slamming us. Okay. Where did that come from? It was because there was a pause, right? I mean, if you heard the whole thing straight out, he like ended the presser and then he like paused. And then I heard you talking about this morning, like, I need a line here. I need a line. And that's what he threw out there.
I got to say something to Fitz's point. It's like that idea if anything's wrong. No, it's fine. And then she waits a minute and goes, and by the way, I'm going to stay with my sister this week.
Absolutely.
Like all of a sudden you have to sneak something in there just at the end to let them know everything is clearly not okay in this. And I am very perturbed if my body language wasn't conveying that enough to you.
That is Straight Talk Wireless nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. We'll continue to break that down, but it is Parade Day in Philly. We sent our board op, Cliff. He joins us now from a Wawa. Is Sal Pal there too?
Yeah.
No, yo, Sal Pal is not here right now, but I got a bunch of my friends out here. Philly is crazy out here. And they can be there too. It's getting crazy out here, fellas. It's gonna be a wild day.
Yo, Cliff, are they gonna free Meek yet or what?
Yo, yeah, we playing the intro right now. It's getting crazy. There's people hanging out from window. Is there a hoagie? Is that a hoagie? Somebody. Oh.
Cliff, have you seen anything? Has anything been broken yet? Does anyone need any more poop? Or are you guys good?
There's nothing broken yet. There's not any poop yet, but everybody's yelling. It's getting rowdy out here. Hey, we got Eagles fans going around. We got some hoagies. We getting breakfast right now. Oh man, it's getting crazy.
Are there drinks with breakfast at this point, Cliff?
Is there drinks with breakfast? Hey, my man, what are you drinking on right now? I'm drinking some Dilly Dilly. Drinking some Dilly Dilly right now, man. Drinking some Dilly Dilly right now.
That is awesome, Cliff. All right, you keep checking in with us. Get your breakfast. Get your good base layer in there before you start getting really after it.
I'm going to be warm today, Golding. I'm going to be warm today.
All right, man. All right, Cliff, we'll talk to you again in a bit.
Can we just, like Cliff is, you know, one of the just nicest and
he is
sort of quiet and really composed. And and the parade's done this to Cliff.
Yeah, listen, this isn't, you know, we have fun with bits every now and then, especially once Jerry came into the fray here. This isn't one. Cliff, our board op, is a Philly nutcase. He drove to Philly after the show yesterday. This is no bit. He was in a Wawa with a bunch of other people. They are already eating hoagies and drinking beer. And the parade starts at what, 11? Is that when it starts?
Yeah,
11 o'clock. So 4 hours from now, and they're hooting and hollering in the Wawas already.
It's 7 a.m. We got about 3 hours before they actually go to the jail and free Meek. Like,
wow.
They're going to go and break him out themselves.
Quick question. What's a Wawa?
A Wawa is your
hands up everywhere,
like the convenience store type thing in Philly. It's a Wawa.
Okay,
you know it's
we don't have these things south of the Mason-Dixon.
But also you can get great hoagies in there. And when I was in Philly, you know, they just make you hoagie. Now it's like the board, you pre-order one and they make it there. It's really expanded incredibly well. But it's like anything else. You get anything else you like at a convenience store, but you can get great food as well. The Wawas are world renowned. World renowned.
Well, the real news from Cliff's update is that Sal Pal isn't at the Wawa. So
Sal Pal ain't got you. Sal Pal going out today, man? Are you kidding me?
I mean, where is he? Sal Pal's been there through the rest of this. Why is he not reaping the rewards?
Because Sal Pal's older like me, and you need to start a little later. Okay, we all can't start early like Cliff.
It's calculated.
Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
I like that. I'm concerned about Cliff. We'll keep checking in with him, obviously, as the morning goes on. But I am worried that it's already this level of chaos for Cliff. Well, as we keep checking in on that, we're also going to keep checking in on the NBA trade deadline. It's today at 3 Eastern. Woj in studio next on Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.